Welcome, this is HAB, I'm Leon.
I'm Shaz.
And what do we have today, Shaz, on the channel?
Today we have a brief review of Fist of the Condor, a recent film from Dazzler Media that we are having a look at today.
So thank you to Dazzler Media for supplying us with a review copy of this.
¿Quién crees que soy? El maestro del puño del cóndor.
And here we go, let's have a synopsis.
Upon the empire's fall to invading conquistadors, the 16th century Incas quickly concealed a sacred manual containing the secrets behind their deadly fighting technique. But after centuries of careful safeguarding, the manual is again at risk of falling into the wrong hands, leaving its rightful guardian to battle the world's greatest assassins to protect the ancient secrets within.
That sounds an awful lot more interesting than the film that we actually watched. And it's very confusing because it's got that trope in there of everybody's dressed like it's ancient times, then all of a sudden somebody's on a motorbike. So it was a little bit confusing.
I found it a bit confusing. I was enjoying it, but I think because I found it confusing, I sort of lost my way with it, because the main character, you find out that he's one of a twin, and then there's lots of flashbacks, and I struggled to be able to identify which twin was meant to be which character.
Yeah.
And so that sort of, then I was sort of thinking, well, is that him? And is that what he did in the past? Or is that what his twin brother did in the past? So, yeah, I found it a little tricky to follow.
It was a little difficult to interpret what was actually going on.
Yeah.
I think they were trying a little bit too hard in this film. Now, the film stars Marko Zaror, and he was last seen by us anyway in John Wick 4. And he was one of the antagonists in that film, and he was absolutely fantastic, so I was really looking forward to this. Now, he's a fine physical specimen, and he's obviously a very talented martial artist, but I don't think this is it for him. Some of the martial arts sequences in this I found to be quite lame.
Well, you sort of said they didn't have the power, maybe, that was intended for whatever reason.
Yeah, if Sammo Hung was directing, he'd have been screaming, more power, more power, more power. Because some of it looked very pitter-patter and very light. It didn't look like that hard-edged Hong Kong cinema fighting that we're also used to. It looked very flowery and pretty and beautiful, and they'd do a move that would take a couple of seconds to pull off, which you would see coming a mile away. You'd have time to put kettle on, make a cup of tea before it actually arrives, if your opponent's a serious martial artist. So that kind of thing to me is
it took you out of it, maybe.
Ho hum.
Yeah. I mean, you did wonder at one point if maybe it was more sort of designed for children.
I did. I seriously thought it was a kids movie. I thought it was a kids movie until we got to a point where somebody took a serious face pounding and then got urinated on. And I'm like, well, okay, so it's not a kids movie, but I imagine if you're like 14, 15 years old and you were watching this, you'd be digging it, because they've got lots of fake philosophy and lines that sound very poetic and beautiful. But
they sound impressive.
Yeah, it's got influences from all over the place. I mean, let me think off the top of my head. We got obvious Chinese boxer references with the light kung fu stuff that they're trying to do, but it was a little more silly in this, as in they had their legs tied up and he's trying to run on his arms. And I was actually laughing out loud, wasn't I? I'm not sure I was supposed to be. I don't think there's supposed to be any comedic intent in that. And then we got like Riddick. He sort of looks like Riddick at one stage. We got shades of Street Fighter in there. We got a whole mishmash of stuff in there. And I don't think it blends really well. Not to mention 36 Deadly wig style in there as well. The wigs in this and the costumes really dragged it down, not to mention the emo looking villain with the eyeliner. And I can appreciate what they were trying to do. They were trying to be more mystical.
Me too. I think the intention was good, and I think what they were trying to create, they couldn't quite do.
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Maybe, I don't know, trying to do a sort of kung fu style film, but maybe they didn't have the experience behind them to completely pull it off with some, you know, the behind the scenes work maybe.
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody, all the actors in that were obviously skilled martial artists.
Oh, you could tell they were skilled, but it just wasn't translating onto the screen.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It was a real shame, and I'd like to see more Zaror, you know, putting something a bit more meaty, you know, so with a, I don't know, it needs something else. It needs a bit of life to inject into it. The breaking up of this into chapters didn't work for me at all. It was too short a film to warrant that, and it felt very like comic booky, almost like reading a manga, you know, those sort of comic book characters. And that was another thing that made me laugh when you saw the actual manual of the Fist of the Condor. It looked like your newspaper cartoons rather than an actual kung fu manual.
Sort of ancient manual.
And yeah, everything was making me laugh. It just was not hitting for me. That being said, you know, on a positive note, some beautiful photography in this.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of outdoors settings. I think I said to you at the beginning of the film, every scene up to a certain point was outside. And I said, or maybe that's, you know, artistic, or maybe it was because maybe the budget was a little smaller. We weren't sure at that stage, were we?
Yeah. Suffice it to say that this one wasn't for Shaz and I, but there will be fans of this out there.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe we're getting a little bit too old for this sort of thing. I don't know.
Maybe it's because we've seen too much sort of Hong Kong or Asian kung fu films, which is the top of the game, isn't it? That people
and
trying
Cynthia
their
Rothrock
best.
and Van Damme, you know, actually like to land the blows. Yeah, I don't know. I still think there's good things in the future for more Zaror, and yeah, let's see where he goes from this. And I think the director had some imagination there, but I just think it was too much in one film.
Too many ideas to try and put it into one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But keep an eye out on the channel though, because if you fancy, you know, seeing this, we will be having a competition up soon, and there may be 1 or 2 copies to give away. So keep an eye open for that. But for now, I think that's all I have to say on this one. Shaz, how about you? Any final words?
No, I think we've pretty much covered how we found the film. But just to let you know that Fist of the Condor will be available to own on Blu-ray, DVD and download from the 2nd of October, should you fancy it.
Well, there you go. We'll put a purchase link in the description. If you stuck with us to the end, thank you very much. And don't forget to like, subscribe, all those good things. That helps us out here on our channel. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, guys.
Habítalo y transfórmate en él. Y tu cuerpo liviano